Could the biggest science project ever lead to the end of the world?
The massive gas line ruptures, could it happen in your neighborhood?
How many sex offenders live in your neighborhood?
Are there terrorist cells in your neighborhood?
Marijuana, could it be in your neighborhood?
Are your kids being brainwashed?
Huzzah.
I'll tell you who's taking cues from the Nazis.
A town in California is insisting that every second grader learns about gay penguins.
Social engineering of America's children.
We'll have global governance run by elites.
We'll have our own little China workforce right here in America.
Progressivism is a cancer.
The Republican Party has gone completely brain dead.
The far left does not want the USA to defeat terrorism.
The Republicans want you to die quickly.
The left believes Americans are stupid.
You cannot be a liberal and a Christian.
We have a village idiot in this country. It's called fundamentalist Christianity.
Islam is a lie from the pit of hell.
Atheists are parasites.
Republicans lie. You know what our real problem is?
A country full of Joe the Plumber.
Crazed teabaggers.
Criminal illegal aliens.
Far-right cranks. Far-left loons.
Right-wing nut jobs.
Practicing homosexuals.
The mainstream media. Radical imams.
Un-American bastards.
The Harvard elites.
Gun nuts.
Tree huggers.
Yahoos and birthers.
Fabian socialists.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Hi, this is Tatiana Moroz, and you're listening to Journalistic Revolution.
I gotta get myself out of this town, and I don't know where I'm gonna be found.
All right, welcome back to the Journalistic Revolution. I am your host, Robert Wasman.
And I'm your ever-excited host, Matthew Dalton. I'm leaving tomorrow for Pork Fest.
Today on Journalistic Revolution, as always, we will start off with Peace News Now. We're giving a special shout-out to Trip from NWO Fighter because it is his birthday.
Happy birthday, Trip!
All right, and we have an interview with Christopher. Over here. We have an interview with Christopher Cantwell about his must-have apps list for every activist. And then also, we will be discussing Status Anonymous. I am moving to step 6, which is kind of hard. You know, I got to get rid of some of my status defects. Then also we'll be discussing Mark Schmidter. We had an interview with him yesterday at a Campaign for Liberty meeting. And we also want to share some of his stories that he said while he was giving his speech. Also, we had an interview with Henry from banthecams.org. I believe he is one of the co-founders. And about what you can do to help get involved to ban the cams. So what's up, Matthew? How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm excited. I am excited.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a fun show, right?
Yeah, the show is going to be awesome.
So I want to jump right into Peace News Now, so we make sure that we have plenty of time to say happy birthday to Trip before we have Cantwell call in, all right? So this is Derek J's from Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree with Peace News Now.
This is your Peace News for Thursday, June 13th, 2013. Silver is trading at $22 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $110 per Bitcoin. Robin Hood of Keene appeared in court Tuesday afternoon to answer accusations that they've been harassing city parking meter officers. Ian Freeman, one of the 6 people named in the lawsuit, said that the city never approached any of the 6 with concerns before filing the suit and has refused to meet and negotiate. Ian argued in court that the order's a waste of time and money, a violation of constitutional rights, and a case brought forth in bad faith. City Attorney Thomas P. Mullins admitted to the judge that there's not a lot of court decisions to draw on for this case, adding, quote, "There's not a whole lot of law in general in New Hampshire." Ian interrupted, saying, "Just the way we like it." His comment drew a smile from the judge and laughter from his supporters seated in the courtroom. Cheshire County Superior Court Judge John Kissinger decided to continue the case, giving both sides 20 days to submit more arguments. Peace News Now will continue to bring you the latest on Robin Hood's adventures in legal land. Speaking of legal land battles, peace activist Darrell W. Perry of the Shire recently won a small victory in Keene Traffic Court. As he explains in a post at freekeene.com, Darrell argued that the parking meters aren't calibrated regularly and that sometimes they keep poor time. In this case, he had been shorted time by the meter even though he should have had time left. The state had no evidence to the counter. Judge Burke then said, quote, "Since the burden of proof is on the city to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, I am marking a finding of not guilty." Are you still using Federal Reserve notes? Don't you know there's a better way? Bitcoin is the world's largest alternative currency. Dollars fund wars of aggression against peaceful people worldwide. Unlike dollars, Bitcoin is decentralized. Using the government's money keeps the government afloat. Let them sink. Get started using Bitcoin today. Visit weusecoins.com to learn more about this empowering new currency. That's weusecoins.com. Exciting announcement for Bitcoiners. Lamassu Bitcoin Ventures, in association with Revolution Coffee Company, will be hosting a Bitcoin-only Wi-Fi network at PorkFest X. This network will provide web access to blockchain.info, Bitcoin charts, Preve, Coinbase, Bitstamp, Mt. Gox, BTCE, CampBX, TradeHill, BitInstant, BitPay, Bips, Paytunia, WalletBit, Coinapult, and PayBTC. The network will also feature a local Bitcoin node, to which Satoshi clients in the Bitcoin wallet for Android will connect automatically. This should allow everyone in Agora Valley to use Bitcoin expeditiously, regardless of whether they have data service from their mobile carrier. Thanks, Lamassu Bitcoin Ventures and Revolution Coffee Company. Did you know Blockchain.info offers a My Wallet extension for Chrome and Firefox? My Wallet from Blockchain.info is my favorite Bitcoin wallet. It syncs with my phone, so I've got easy access to my account whenever I need it. To watch a quick playlist tutorial on how to get started, visit bitcoin.peacenewsnow.com. Do you want to know what's in your FBI file? The website getmyfbifile.com makes it easy to fill out the proper government forms to get all the dirt on yourself for free. Check it out. And while you're at it, visit their sister company where you can learn what kind of trouble with the law Grandpa ran into at getgrandpasfbifile.com. You may get back pages of redacted documents, but hey, by law they're supposed to give you everything, and it's free. So why not give it a try and see what comes back? If you do, please write to Peace News Now to report your findings. Thanks to the Supreme Court, something new you might find in your FBI file is your DNA. Mike Adams reports over at naturalnews.com that in Alabama, police have set up roadblocks stopping cars to, quote, voluntarily take DNA from drivers. When men in black uniforms with guns on their hips ask you to do something, it doesn't fit the common definition of voluntary. Travelers were compensated for volunteering their bodily fluids to the government. Those who allowed police to swab the insides of their mouths were rewarded with $10. Those who volunteered up their veins were rewarded $50. Critics argue that not only is this a creepy violation of people's rights, it's also a poor data collection method. Since participants in the survey are self-selected, the sample will be biased. For example, people who have alcohol in their blood are unlikely to give a sample to the police. Educate your friends and families to let them know that this is happening, and that it's okay to say no. Links are in the show notes. This has been Peace News, your daily update on the peaceful evolution. Get more Peace News on the next news network. And for daily videos, subscribe at youtube.com/peacenewsnow. For peacenewsnow.com, I'm Derek J, reminding you that peace is the way.
I'm actually doing that FBI thing. I already have it all printed up and ready to go. I just have to mail it out.
Are you serious? Because I'm going to do that when I get back from PorkFest. And it's funny because when I get it, I'm going to report my findings live here on the show.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I might do that as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, I know because you've been pushing that on me. You've been sending me links about it, and you're all like, "FBI file, man, go check it out." You know.
Well, I wanted to talk about it tonight, but we already have a loaded show, and Derek J brought it up, so
there you go.
There we go.
All right. Now, here in a few minutes, in about 6 minutes, we're going to have Christopher Cantwell coming on, and we're going to be discussing his article, Must-Have Android Apps for Activists. And I was blown away by this article, just for the simple fact that you won't find another article really out there like this.
Yeah.
And I was all like, well, yeah, I have most of this stuff. But, I was all like, but why isn't there a how-to guide, because these apps are really, really amazing.
Well, maybe that should be, Chris's next project, the activist how-to guide. And he can collaborate with Adam Kokesh,
Wow.
How to get arrested, what you should have, Shield Mutual, those kinds of things.
Well, we got 5 minutes left. I'd really like to spend this in honor of a great man, a wonderful man named Trip Pugh. It is his birthday. Happy birthday, Trip.
Happy birthday, man.
And
you're like 45 years old, right? Something like that. I don't know.
Now, if you guys don't know Trip, if you're new listening, because I notice we have a lot of listeners right now. If you're new and you're listening, Trip runs his own show on Liberty Movement Radio on Mondays and Wednesdays, Sundays and Wednesdays at 9 to 11. It's called NWO Fighter. You should really listen to it. He does a great job. He's actually been one of the really helpful people in helping us get ourselves established both technically and within the network. So, Trip, this is my golf clap to you, sir. Okay, I'm done. Anyways.
What? And it's funny, too, because we always think of a song to play for him based on something he says in the chat logs or when he's on with us. It's his birthday. We didn't come up with a song for him.
I'm sure he'll deal. But so
hopefully he's out. Hopefully he's out having a good time tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. And he's probably not even listening. He better not be listening. He better be out having a grand old time meeting his future ex-girlfriend. And
or a future ex-wife.
Yeah, But, okay, so before Chris Cantwell calls in, I want to go over some of his article before he calls in so that we can, so you guys have a basis of what we're talking about before we start asking him questions. Activists use technology differently. Sure, we have a lot of the same apps as other people. I mean, who doesn't have Google+, Facebook, or Twitter installed on their phones these days? But the activist doesn't settle for posting pictures of their lunch on Instagram or just watching the latest videos on YouTube. And while it's nice to be able to check the weather and it's fun to throw birds at pigs in outer space, we just have different needs that aren't always listed by the staff picks on the Google Play Store. So here's my must-have list for activists and everybody else for that matter, because let's face it, you may not be an activist today, but you're almost certain to find out why activists exist at some point in your life. Oh, beautiful. So, and then the first one is Waze social GPS maps and traffic. Chances are you probably heard about this one. There are lots of apps out there that let you report police traps, but Waze is the most popular, which means that you're going to get the most reports and your reports will reach the most people. Not only that, but Waze helps you navigate while traveling, which activists tend to do frequently. And if you're traveling, you're going to want cheap gas, and Waze helps you find that too. The only thing that comes close to that is Trapster, a good alternative if you're at all concerned about Google having buying Waze, given the whole NSA surveillance scandal. Now, not too many people here are happy about the government spying on us, but I really like to spy on the government. And people who want to keep their eye on the government frequently want to listen to their radio transmissions. There are several apps that do this for you in the Google Play Store, but the most popular one, and the one that I use, Christopher Cantwell, is Scanner Radio by Gordon Edwards. No one needs to download multiple apps. They all use the same feeds, most of which are available at Broadcastify and Radio Reference. Okay, so Chris is calling in. Let's go ahead and get him in here. Hi, Chris, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing today, sir?
Good to be with you guys.
Nice to have you.
Good to have you, Chris.
We were actually just discussing the beginning intro to your article, and how the reason I was blown away by your article is because I'm not able to find anything else like this on the internet.
Well, yeah, I thought it was sort of there's a lot of, what's the cool Android app for me to have, sort of articles out there, but there's not one that really caters to this community. So I thought that it would be a good thing to put out there, because my phone is really central to what I do, and I imagine that it is for a lot of other people, and that there's a lot of advantages that we can gain through using the right technology, and activists, especially libertarians, are really entrenched in technology.
Absolutely. The first one you have listed is the Waze Social GPS Maps, which is about finding police traps and reporting them and reading other people's reports. Which I love this one that you listed this first, because not only is it good to help avoid those, but if you're into cop watch or cop blocking, this is a great way to find where you need to be.
Absolutely, and it's also going to help you not be somewhere that you don't want to be. I mean, there's a lot of times when a lot of us don't want to run into police. So it's a good thing for us to be able to, avoid them a lot of times, especially on the roads, because as you guys are surely aware, you are in more danger with the police when you're on the road than at pretty much any other time. Perhaps driving is more dangerous than cop blocking in my experience. When I'm in the police's face with a camera, they kind of see me as the threat, and it's not that big of a deal. But when I'm driving my car, I am prey to the police. So I think that Waze is an important thing for us both to be able to find police, to find them or to avoid them, and also to help warn others, because of course every time the state is deprived of a victim, the state is deprived of money by which to victimize others.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, I wanted to interject because I saw the video you posted. I wasn't sure who you were with in that video. Where you were, I think it was in New Jersey, and you were just down the road, and you were warning people of the trap down the road. Did you guys really shut down that trap?
We have no way of knowing when they intended to end the trap. What we do know is that we were there for under an hour, and the trap was gone.
Nice.
Tim went down the street. That's my friend Tim Morgan. Great guy, fellow cop blocker here in Suffolk County, New York. We were in New York on Long Island, not New Jersey, but okay. His sister actually got stopped at that trap. So when she got home, she said, hey, I got stopped at a checkpoint. And he was like, I got to call Chris. And we, ran over there and started warning citizens. So within an hour, they shut that checkpoint down. Whether it was directly because of us or not, I don't know. But I can't imagine that it helped matters anyway, because people were definitely aware of it. We were watching people put their seatbelts on. We were watching people drop their cell phones. We were watching people change lanes. I have dozens of comments on my YouTube channel, and many of them are to the effect of, dude, you saved me from a ticket. I'm the one who changed lanes. I did this. Like, people drove past us are finding us on YouTube. It was great.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear that kind of good feedback. Because nobody wants to be
it's really great when you can talk to the people who you directly saved from a ticket. Derek was talking about, the Robin Hooders in Keenan. I mean, whenever you can actually see that you had a direct impact, where you actually stopped somebody from getting, aggressed against by the state, where you actually get a thank you from the person. I mean, that's probably some of the most rewarding activism that a person can do.
Yeah, I would think so. I haven't yet gotten to the point where, well, when I was a liberal activist, I won a few, but I don't really count those. But as a liberty activist, I haven't really had that moment. But your next one would have been real handy for me when I was doing up to date things on what was going on in Boston and the tragedy there. The Scanner Radio by Gordon Edwards. Now, according to your article, this can connect you to any scanner going on in the nation?
Not any scanner going on in the nation. Any scanner where somebody has set up a public feed through one of a few systems. So, for example, and I mentioned in there that there's a bunch of different apps, but they all pull the same feeds, right? And those feeds are available on either broadcastify.com or radioreference.com. You can find those feeds, and they feed pretty much all the same scanner apps, all have the same feeds. If you were trying to listen to one of those apps during the Boston manhunt in Watertown, when the martial law and the day the first shots of the American Revolution were fired, if you were trying to listen then, you wouldn't be able to, because the police asked the scanner operators to shut down their scanner feeds. So you wouldn't have been able to listen then, because the operators of those scanner feeds shut them down. I was still able to listen because I was on Twitter, and there was somebody who actually had a scanner that they put on Ustream. Now, you wouldn't have been able to listen to that. It's not as if there's just some central feed that the authorities are putting out that you can listen to their scanners. These are from users, activists, what have you, on the ground who are near those signals and are transmitting them over the internet. So it depends on what is out there. Now, in Suffolk County, for example, on Long Island, I can listen to either the entire Suffolk County Police Department, or I can listen to the 4th precinct, or I can listen to the 7th precinct. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. I can't listen to them by themselves because nobody has yet set up that scanner feed. I'm considering doing it, but I don't want to dedicate my scanner because I need to take my scanner out to do other things. But it's whatever people have set up to do. And anybody who's listening, if you would like to set up a scanner feed for your area, you can do that. That might be one of my next how-to articles.
That would be awesome, because I noticed a connection between the Waze social GPS maps and the scanner radio. I mean, you can use the scanner if you set up one for your local area. It's a great way to be able to find traps and where they're going to be focusing their efforts for the day, and then you could report it to Waze.
That's true to an extent, but what I've found I've been listening to police scanners long before I was a libertarian, and what I found was that they don't tend to announce those things over the radio. In certain jurisdictions that might be the case, but at least here it's not. I don't often hear about traffic stops either, for example, unless they're calling in a plate. They're trying to figure out who somebody is. What you mostly hear is, at least here, is dispatch calls. They're saying, "Hey, we've got a call here, go there." Mm-hmm. So if you're out looking for things to do, I mean, we responded to a call, Suffolk County Cop Block. We responded to a call recently that was a call about underage drinking, for example, and we showed up there and. The cops were already there. It wasn't much of a scene, but, you can get that information.
Is that the night that you pissed on the Department of Homeland Security sign?
Yes, that was the night that we pissed on the Department of Homeland Security sign. I posted 2 videos that night. One was pissing on the Department of Homeland Security. That's how we ended the night. But prior to that, we were at that underage drinking call, and I had my camera out, and the police officer, after they left the scene, they pulled up to us and says, "I'm just wondering why you're recording." And I said, "Well, we're police accountability journalists." And he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "What's police accountability?"
No, I was watching that live. I was commenting in the thread. I was mad lucky, 1-1. And
we had a lot of fun with the chat in the live stream, man. That's great.
Well, that was really funny. I laughed for like an hour after that.
Speaking of which, okay, let's say that you're for some reason Waze and between the scanner, you're not able to avoid the cops. The next thing on your list here is I guess you can call a contingency plan if you cannot avoid them, to keep them accountable. And that app is, of course, Ustream. Tell us why you chose Ustream.
Well, I chose Ustream. I had another phone where I had Quick, QIK, on my phone, and that works, and that will actually work with livestream.com and certain other things. But for my Android phone, for some reason, Quick didn't work. So I went to Ustream, and Ustream I kind of like because there's sort of a social networking aspect to it. To explain what it is, I mean, if anybody isn't familiar with Ustream is an application for your smartphone that you can live stream videos and audio straight to the internet. So if somebody comes in, if you have a regular camera, the police can bounce your camera off the curb, and that's the end of your video. Whereas or they can confiscate your camera and hold it, and not let it out because it's part of an investigation. All sorts of things can happen. With Ustream, it live streams it straight to the internet so that you will have that video as people are watching it live, and it's also stored on the Ustream servers. And people can download it from those servers and make copies of it if they have to. So even if they go and get a warrant and have it taken from Ustream, I mean, it's too late. By the time the video's on the internet, as we all know, it's impossible to take things off of the internet. So Ustream will put it straight to the internet. And there's a social networking aspect to it also, which makes it really cool because people can chat. As Matt was saying, he was in the chat while we were out cop blocking and, got to see these things as they happened. And so people will talk to each other, and there's also a social networking aspect to it that you gain followers. People will be emailed when you start broadcasting. I'm subscribed to Mike Salvi's World, so like he went out to I didn't even know they were going to go do it. There was an eminent domain thing that they went to, and I just got an email. Mike Salvi's World is live, and I just watched this awesome activism happen just up out of the blue. So it's a really cool thing. It helps build an engaged audience, and also if what you're doing is popular, it will trend, and people who aren't necessarily subscribed to you will see it on the Ustream website.
That's awesome. Now, so what happened with this eminent domain thing? I don't think I heard about that. That might be some breaking news for everyone right now.
Well, it happened a few days ago, so I wouldn't call it breaking news, but it might be news to some of our listeners here that there was a city councilwoman the city council in Philadelphia had basically taken some plots of land and said that it was for, low income housing, and they eminent domained the property from a bunch of Philadelphia citizens, and those citizens were rather upset about it. And what they actually found out was not only did they eminent domain the property, which is, a terrible enough thing as it is, but when they're saying that it's for low-income housing, what they're actually doing is they're leasing a lot of that land to businesses, to corporations. So it's another one of these things that we've seen, this really bad abuse of eminent domain, where you're not just taking private property for public use, you're taking private property and just straight up redistributing it, and in this case to corporations, and that's kind of sickening.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Crony
capitalism at its best.
So they went and they confronted this city councilwoman, and it was really great because you watched the city councilwoman totally lost her cool. She was like, well, I don't need to be right. I have the power. I have the law on my side. So blah, 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 blah. I don't care if I'm wrong. Screw your morality. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing. Those aren't her exact words, but just to that effect. And I'm sure that there'll be YouTube videos of that on Mike Salvi's channel. But that was the live stream, and it was really great. It was great to watch. And like I said, I'm just sitting there in the afternoon not doing anything. I get an email, and all of a sudden I get to watch this awesome activism. That's what I really love about Ustream.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question about Ustream, because I've heard you make comments about battery life. Is that in reference to Ustream? Does your battery really last that long using that?
Well, here's what I get out of Ustream. I have I only started live streaming on any sort of regular basis pretty recently, and what I had happened before was, like, when I went out for the first day after Adam Kokesh had gotten arrested in Philadelphia, I went out and tried to live stream some of that, but it really drained my smartphone battery really fast. Because you're using, your screen, you're using your camera, you're using your data, everything that your phone, your CPU, live streaming really maxes out the resources of your phone. So what I have is an external USB battery pack, which I bought for $100, which came from donations, chief amongst which was Caleb Leverett of this network, that I bought in Best Buy. It's a 9,000 milliamp hour battery that's made by Samsung, and it just has a USB port on it. So I have this external power source that I charge overnight, and that lasts me all day long because the battery on the smartphone will absolutely get drained right away. Now, since then, I'm thinking about putting out another article. It's like gear that you need to have, not just apps for your phone, because that is a really like a must-have thing. You've got to have a long life battery, and I have since found on eBay you can get like a 50,000 milliamp hour battery for like $30-40 on eBay, which is amazing. Free shipping from China. So I mean that's something that I used. That 9,000 milliamp hour battery out in Philadelphia. I streamed all day long, and I didn't even put a dent in that thing. For $40 to have a 50,000 milliamp hour battery, you could be at it for days.
Well, I'm glad you told me that, because this PorkFest, I'm going to live stream with Robert through Skype while he's at home here in Orlando, and I'm going to be doing interviews. And I'm thinking I might need to pick one of those up, because if I'm Skyping, chances are my battery won't last the 2 hours we're broadcasting.
Oh yeah, definitely not. But
no, it will not, and I hope that you have Verizon service, because pretty much nobody else is going to have signal at PorkFest.
I have Verizon, so you're telling me that they have good signal up there?
Yeah, you'll have signal there, and I mean, and you'll have extra audience members from the NSA. It's great.
Well, that's what we always talk about is on our show. The last couple of shows is whenever we say something like, "Oh, the NSA's listening," it's like, "Great, get them to donate to LMR."
Yeah, exactly. Like, just as long as they're driving up the hit counters, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I love the way you have this listed too, because let's say Trapster. You're not able to avoid all the police, and the scanner radio wasn't able to help you, and you're using Ustream to make sure that this officer is not going to screw you. But let's say he doesn't give a crap anyway. He's kidnapping your ass, and he's going to hold you for ransom. And so you hit a button for "I'm getting arrested," which makes an announcement to a predetermined list of phone numbers, and you can even link it to your Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus. That makes an announcement that you're being detained by an officer.
Yes, what it does is it sends out an SMS message to a list of phone numbers. Now, it doesn't link directly to your Google Plus, Twitter, or Facebook, but I at least have set up my Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus to accept messages from my phone number via SMS. So I have those are, the first three numbers that are notified because those are obviously going to reach the largest audiences. And then, the next few numbers are, family members, lawyers, and activists who can get the word out. And then there's just a mass number. I basically put all of my contacts into this list, and everybody and their mother is going to find out if I get detained by the police. And I think that that's a great thing for everybody to have because, as I say in the article, I mean, cops are like other criminals. They hate witnesses. And if there are a bunch of people screaming outside of the building, they're going to be anxious to get you out of there.
Let me ask you a question. It says that it'll send your GPS coordinates. Do you have to have your GPS turned on your phone? Because I typically keep mine off.
You do have to have the GPS turned on your phone. I think I'm hesitant to say this for certain. Make sure you check this before you use it. But I believe it can turn it on. And if it does not turn it on, I might try to determine it from the triangulation of your cell signal, as Google can also do if you don't have GPS on your phone or if your GPS is turned off. I think Waze will also approximate your location by your cell signal. So they might be able to find out like what jurisdiction you're in without your GPS, but you would have to have your GPS on to get the exact location of the arrest.
All right. Well, we're coming to towards the end of this segment, but go ahead and plug yourself and the website where they can read this article. And then I wanted to ask you a couple questions before we go. So go ahead and plug yourself in where they can find you and where they can find this article.
Dude, check me out, Vote for Cantwell on Twitter. It's voteforcantwell.wordpress.com. Yes, I know I'm an anarchist and I've got a vote for me thing, but I did all this when I was running for Congress, and it just, it seems silly to throw away that audience. But I don't really have a website that I'm updating on any sort of regular basis. So just find me on the social networks. Search YouTube for Chris Cantwell. You'll find me. You search for Chris Cantwell, you'll find Chris Cantwell. I'm not hard to find.
All right. Now, two things. The first one is the Status Anonymous. Do you have any statism that you need to confess here at Status Anonymous, and maybe get off your chest some status tendencies that you've been working through?
I'm tempted to say no, but if I had to really reach deep down, I'd say like union busting. Like I really think that unions, with the way that the unions use the state to their advantage, I'm almost in favor of things like right to work laws, even though I know that they are, principally a status thing that should not exist. But when these things come up, I will join with Republicans and right-wingers in advocating for these things because I think that the unions are using the state. I see right-to-work laws as a defensive mechanism, even though I know that they are not the answer to the problem.
It's funny you brought that up because I actually had a discussion with a guy today, and he was like very teetering on minarchism. He doesn't know the terms, but based on his philosophical beliefs and what he was espousing. And he brought up unions when they were first created and how, for the time, they were great because they helped, get better work conditions, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, the free market would have provided that eventually as well without the unintended consequences decades down the road. And I said,
I'm not sure about that, because I do think that like a union absent the state would serve a good purpose, right? Like I do think like workers sticking together and saying like, because it's just like anything else where like we stand up to the state and if one of us does it, they're just like, we'll fucking kill you, shut up. And it's the same thing like at work. Like if just one employee steps up and says, hey boss, you can't treat me like that, he'd be like, I'll fucking fire you, shut up, I'll hire your fucking daughter now, you know? And like it does like seem to me like a good idea for workers to stick together and to organize, and I think that that's a good thing. And absent the state, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that they become political forces, and since they are basically like followers, they tend to go with like these left-leaning collectivist candidates that really implement these really awful policies. So you know, I do see them as a danger now, but absent the state, I think that unions do serve a good purpose. That you know. But it would be the free market doing that, right? When you say the free market would have done it, unions are free market. The problem is that when they get involved with the state, that's when they become a problem.
Thank you. That's awesome. I like that.
That actually kind of answers my next question. From what I know of you, you're pretty sound philosophically as an anarchist. It's one of the things I respect about you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And my philosophies, I've always wanted to run this by a philosophically sound anarchist. I'm philosophically a voluntarist or an anarchist myself. Politically, I'm a libertarian, but I tend to hold some level of realism. Do you think that supporting actions, not people, like that end with more freedom, is a viable means of helping push towards freedom?
Even if it's through the state?
Here's what I'm going to say about that. For the most part, no. I really don't think that it is. I have to say that I have seen political action doing good things in New Hampshire. And a place like New Hampshire, maybe it is worth, you know, trying to participate in that system to prevent things from getting worse and maybe to make things a little bit better. For most of the world, I'd say no. New York State, for example, where I live, you know, New Hampshire is the Free State Project. I call New York the Failed State Project, okay? And I think the best thing that you could possibly do in New York is just vote Democrat and raise taxes until people start shooting and just let this whole thing burn to the fucking ground, because there's just no sense in trying to repair most of this. In a situation like New Hampshire, where you do have this community of people who tend to be against the state encroaching on their lives, it might be worth participating in that up to and including the point where you pass a bill in the legislature to secede from the union, sign it by the governor, and get ready for the United States to invade with a state militia.
Well, that's funny you brought up New York, because I have asked this question more out loud, not really ever expecting an answer. How are people not moving out of the state of New York? I can't see how people aren't just being run off out of that state, out of that city, based on the laws that they've been passing lately.
Me least of all making sense to stay here. I mean, it's ridiculous. But the answer is the same reason that people are in every place else, and that's because they have their communities there. I mean, unfortunately, I have business ties here that I don't have other places. I am technically unemployed right now, but I can run an agorist business in this place and keep my head above water without having a boss. And that's kind of like a big deal. If I go somewhere else, I have to rebuild all of those ties that I spent my entire life building in New York. I have a reputation as a skilled professional in New York where people know, hey, I call Chris. You know, it's like taking it to the bank. The job's going to get done. So that's something that I can sell that reputation and I can't sell it that way in other places. Unfortunately, in other places, all people know me as is the anarchist who screams on YouTube. That's how people know me, or the drunk guy who was slurring his words at the party until pretty recently. So
that's funny because
it's that, but it's the job, it's the community, it's what prevents everybody from moving. Unfortunately,
that's funny because that was my first introduction to you. I think it was that interview where Adam had you on and you didn't know that girl from New Hampshire was going to be there. And I watched that in full and I was like, holy shit, I didn't expect that out of Adam, because I really felt, without knowing you and knowing the whole situation, I actually felt like he almost trapped you into that.
Yeah, it was totally, you know, I got trolled is, you know, what happened. And I mean, it's and I was pretty pissed off about it at the time, but it's all happening now.
Yeah, and neither here nor there anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, the video of my response to it is still on YouTube, and I still encourage everybody to watch it because it's fucking hysterical. But you know, it's all fun. It's show business, right?
Yeah.
We're here to entertain audiences, and sometimes we do underhanded shit to get it done. Unfortunately.
Well, Chris, it was a pleasure having you on. We're gonna go ahead and take a break. Everybody, look Chris Cantwell up. You can do it on Facebook, YouTube, Google+, Twitter, and many more places. I call him the libertarian comedian.
Take a second. When you come back from break, just talk about Cerberus real quick, because I wanted to get that one out there. That's an important one. You can wipe your phone out if the cops take it. You can retrieve your phone if you lose it. I think that's probably the most important app on that list. And you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Well, so that was Chris Cantwell, everybody.
That was great. I liked having him on. It's the first time I've gotten to talk to him kind of face to face. You know, we've talked on Facebook here and there. It's really cool to have him on the show.
I always find him humorous, no matter if it offends me or not. But all right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with Status Anonymous, which won't be long because we're running just a little bit behind. And then we're going to talk about Mark Schmidter and the interview that we had with him. I have that all ready to go, so you can listen to it live here shortly.
In a world where statism reigns supreme.
Oh, I love Glenn Beck.
Rush Limbaugh is a god. One station stand against the system.
This is a criminal act being committed by a man in a costume.
They had one chance, and that chance was to fight back. This summer, we are...
Dude, this is our last chance.
Liberty Movement Radio.
If you knew how to stop corrupt politicians and corrupt laws, wouldn't you do it? When you're on a jury, you can veto bad laws by refusing to convict. Protect your rights and the rights of others by saying no to bad laws. Visit FIJA.org or call 1-800-TELJURY for more information. Remember, no victim means no crime. Veto bad laws. Protect your rights. FIJA.org.
Well, yeah, it's getting tough out there. Yeah, no doubt. I work in home invasions, mostly. Some murder, occasional rape, if she's hot, or really bitchy. And I'm a huge advocate of gun control, absolutely. Every time I kick in a door or smash a window, I face the possibility of being shot and killed. Allowing citizens to own guns creates a hostile work environment for me and my associates. No one should have to work under those conditions. I say make them all illegal, absolutely. I mean, I break the law for a living. I'm a professional, so it doesn't really bother me. No doubt.
Your local violent criminals work hard and put their lives on the line every time they attempt to murder, rape, abduct, or assault a member of the citizenry. They desperately need your help. With your support, there may finally come a day when a violent criminal can have his way with you or someone you love without the fear, anxiety, and stress caused by knowing there's a possibility his victim might be armed. Please show your support by voting for stronger anti-gun legislation, because criminals prefer unarmed citizens.
You know you can listen to Liberty Movement Radio online at libertymovementradio.com. But did you know you can listen from your phone? There is a call-in line available to any phone that can call long distance. Just dial 484-718-0296. That's 484-718-0296. If you don't have unlimited calling, don't worry. You can still listen from your phone via the TuneIn app or the new LMR radio app available from Google Play. Just search Google Play for Liberty Movement Radio to find the app. That gives you 4 great ways to listen to LMR. Online at libertymovementradio.com, via the call-in line at 484-718-0296, via the TuneIn app, and via the new LMR radio app available from Google Play.
Listen to Journalistic Revolution on LibertyMovementRadio.com. With news updates from Peace News Now, featuring Matthew Dalton and Robert Wasman. Is the economy going to collapse? Are the Chinese Muslims taking over the world? Are the reptilians in heat? Is your refrigerator running? Find out Wednesday, Friday, and Sundays at 11 on LibertyMovementRadio.com.
All right. We are back. Now, Christopher Cantwell asked us to do him a favor and real quick explain the Cerebus anti-theft. I'll just read it straight from his article here. It says, our phones these days are expensive and carry a lot of information. So if they are lost, stolen, or otherwise fall into the wrong hands, it's good if we can maintain some measure of control over them. That's where Cerebus anti-theft comes into play. This app will help you in several ways, like allowing you to track your phone via GPS if it's lost or stolen, via the Cerebus website. Through the Cerebus website or an SMS message, you can also trigger a loud alarm on your phone, wipe the internal memory and SD card, take photo, video, record audio, lock the phone, and get a log of recent calls and texts and more. It can also be set to take a picture and send messages when a certain number of incorrect unlock codes are tried, as well as a host of other features. Did you lock your phone right? I use this app, and you should too.
That's a pretty cool app.
That is an awesome app. I like.
And speaking of apps, Robert.
Oh yes, speaking of apps, we want to add one of unofficial one to this list, and that's Journalistic Revolution, the app. You can get it now at your Google Play Store. Check out Journalistic Revolution, the app, at your Google Play Store.
Some shameless self-promotion.
There you go. Now, okay, guys. I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been going through some issues. They're very personal, but Matthew and I decided to make them very open, and I wanted to be honest, and I want you guys to know that you're not alone. I'm a statist. I have statist tendencies. It's something I'm working through. I know. I thought, that all I had to do was like Ron Paul and everything would get better. Yeah. But there's other things I have to do to be able to help change myself and therefore changing others. And I've been getting that help through Status Anonymous, and Matthew himself is the one that's really been helping me. So, I've gone through the acceptance that I have status tendencies. I have gone through realizing that there's no power greater than myself that's going to save me from my statism. I have given my will over to the non-aggression principle and the message of liberty, and I have taken a moral inventory of myself. And now...
don't forget number 5.
Oh, wait, yeah, number 5. Go ahead, Matt.
You admitted to yourself and another human being the exact nature of your wrongs.
Yes, what damage my statism has caused. Taxation, people being killed overseas in my name. A lot of people have been in jail because of my tax dollars. So, good friends of mine even. So step 6. Step 6, man, it's tough for me to say this out loud. I'm ready. I'm entirely ready to have liberty and freedom remove all of these defects of character. It's tough to be free all the way across the board, to not let my own personal bias determine what I think should be pushed on other people by force, coercion, or gunpoint if necessary. I can't do that anymore. And that's going to be hard. And
we realize that statism is a disease. So these defects of character are very real, often brought on by, through indoctrination, cognitive dissonance, the way we've been brought up all our life, and this is where we figured out what we have wrong with us, We figured out why it's wrong, where it came from, the root, and now we're ready to let it go, to get rid of it, to remove these defects from our life, from our character.
I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to let liberty and freedom in. I'm ready. I feel pumped, to no longer want to impose my will on others because I want them to be as free as I am. And that is the essence of freedom, is that you don't want to control anybody else. You just want to be responsible for yourself. And any repercussions come from my actions, I am ready to take them on. They're my consequences. And I don't think anybody else should have to suffer consequences of my decisions. There is no reason I should make a law against you if it doesn't hurt or steal from anyone else. Period.
Wow, man. I'm proud of you. It took a lot to get to this point.
It did. I mean, I'm only halfway there, man. I'm only halfway there. This is hard. This is hard trying to get past this desire to control and justify our actions against it. Well, we got to make a law against it because, people could get hurt. You got to get past that. So yeah, that's what I've been going through, guys. And I think I want to make another confession.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I want to make another confession. The other day, I wanted to call the cops on somebody because they were being loud. Because they were being loud, man. I had it. Now, it went through my head.
Did you use voluntary action and go request them to be quiet first?
No, of course not. I live in the ghetto. So
your very first... It's the redneck ghetto. Deltona.
Oh, whatever. But no. No, I didn't try to go over there. What I did is I went to the other extreme. I was all like, let them have their fun.
Okay.
Who am I? My kids aren't here. What does it matter if I'm going to be up anyway? So what? I can't hear them. I got to listen to them over whatever video game I happen to be playing because I don't have kids begging me to take over the game system. But so let them have their fun.
You have wireless headphones with Bluetooth.
It doesn't work for PlayStation. We're not talking about PlayStation right now. By the way, go home, Xbox. You're drunk. And okay. So let's take another quick break. And then we come back, we're going to go first over the interview with Mark Schmidter. We're going to play the interview that we had with him yesterday, and then we'll discuss it and applaud this man. I mean, this guy sacrificed 104 days of his life in defense of our freedoms. 104 days, and he's still fighting it.
Now, just to give some people a little background, Mark Schmidter, he is deeply entrenched in FIJA.org. And if you don't know what FIJA is, go ahead, Robert.
Fully Informed Jury Association.
And that's all about jury nullification. Your right to nullify laws you don't agree with as a juror.
And yes, and I think Mark in the interview sums it up real nicely. We're just going to take a short break. And then we'll be back with the interview. Now, here are some friends of ours. You may agree with them, disagree with some of them, but remember, we're all on the same side.
Do you have a group or organization founded on the principles of personal liberty, health freedom, or accountable government? We invite you to check out Same Side Entertainment. Same Side is a source for activists and liberty organizations to connect with well-known leaders in today's growing movement for sustainable living, personal liberty, and sovereignty issues. Same Side has a variety of keynote speakers, debate panels, interactive web presentations, musicians, and liberty-based entertainment, as well as services for web design, graphic design, video, and photography. Same Side can help customize your event by connecting you to the best of the liberty and political world while staying within your budget. Get connected with leaders in the liberty movement like Tom Woods, Kevin Gutzman, Jack Hunter, Robert Scott Bell, Bob Murphy, Michael Scheuer, John Bush, Jordan Page, Tatiana Moroz, and many more. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website at www.samesideentertainment.com. Again, that's www.samesideentertainment.com. Same Side Entertainment, connecting you with the education and resources you need.
Let me go ahead.
Yeah, you see me rolling round in a black Mercedes, cruising round town and it's packed with ladies. Gotta keep it going, yeah, I'm roaming the map, and no, I never stop till I find something to tap. Oh, yeah. Nokia, iPhone, Galaxy 3, Facebook, and your search history. Gmail, voicemail, I gotta have it. It's got an on-off switch, baby. I'm making a list, I'm checking it twice. It doesn't matter the message or even kind of device. Every pic your daughter sends, we've got it ingrained. Why do you think Anthony Weiner wants back in the game? Surveilling reporters, don't ever forget it. I got so many AP docs, you think I'm getting college credit? Yeah, we're saving your searches, that's just a reality. Yes, we can ain't just a slogan, it's our view on legality. Nokia, iPhone, Galaxy 3, Facebook, and your search history. Gmail, voicemail, I gotta have it. It's got an on-off switch, baby. I'll tell you this, sir. I greatly abhor your violating of the Constitution upon which you swore, and a full investigation is what's needed and more. You ever Googled Justin Bieber pics? I yield back the floor. I don't see the big deal. Why are we having a cow? I mean, look at all the terrorists that we can focus on now. And it's not like we're planting devices in homes. By the way, did everybody get their free Obama phone? Come on. With front-facing cameras, our intel has grown. Look at the video we've collected from this year alone. This is outrageous. We should be able to use the bathroom freely. Hello? Hi. How'd you get this number? Really? Nothing is private anyway. We're posting on walls, so what's the big deal if the government is saving your calls? I mean, we share our info with companies. This debate should be chilled. Everybody come quick! A straw man has been killed! So the next time you're up late and you're surfing your phone, let me reassure you, baby, that you're never alone. And if you don't think that the spying stuff is really ideal, text yourself about it. Let us know how you feel. Nokia, iPhone, Galaxy 3, Facebook, and your search history. Gmail, voicemail, I gotta have it. It's got an on-off switch, baby. I'll tap it.
That was pretty damn funny. Okay, so
that one goes to you. Goes out to you, NSA.
That was pretty funny. Now, okay, so yesterday we had the pleasure of being able to go to the C4L meeting, and there was Mark Schmidter. He gave a great speech, a touching speech, and everybody who was there to support him was there, both during his struggle, and it was wonderful. I mean, there was a couple of times I was really choked up. It's nice to be in the presence of men who have sacrificed so much. It's something to aspire to, if you will.
Kind of makes you wish you'd saved up all those arrests for activism as opposed to...
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, you.
I can hang up this phone call, sir. No. Anyway, but I had the honor of being able to interview him for a brief moment, and and he let me record it, and I want to play it for you guys now. He's a wonderful guy. Here we go.
All right, I'm here with Mark Schmidter. He has been released recently from his incarceration by the orders of Lord Perry. Mark, just a real quick, what was the charge that they officially gave you?
It was contempt of court, and it was contempt of court violating one of Judge Perry's administrative orders. I wasn't violating any law. I was on the sidewalk between the parking garage and the courthouse handing out flyers about jury nullification, but it actually makes no difference what I'm handing out. He just didn't want anybody handing out anything that he didn't like.
And this was because he deemed there was free speech zones in the Orange County courthouse area, correct?
Yeah, that's the second administrative order 07 that he came out with in like April of 11, and then he established also a free speech zone, which is a 10 by 30 foot area about 250 feet out in front of the courthouse.
And that's what you're taking, hopefully, all the way to the Supreme Court, is to contest these rules about free speech in courthouse areas?
Yeah, they're both of them are administrative orders. Now, the second order about the free speech was ruled last December of 12 by the 5th District Court of Appeals in Daytona as unconstitutional, and they threw that one out of court. Now, the first one, 03, about the flyers handing out, well, those that's right now in the state of Florida Supreme Court.
And they haven't ruled on that yet?
No, they haven't ruled on that yet. And whenever they, also both of those orders are selectively enforced, which is also unconstitutional, because there's no law against what we were doing. He had to make an administrative order to make it illegal.
Yeah. Which is basically saying, I don't like it, stop it.
Yeah, not only that, I don't like it, stop it, but if I do like it, you can keep doing it. And that's what a selectively enforcement is.
All right. Now, you were in there for 104 days in total, and you told some very powerful stories, which we will be posting online. But some of the stories, what was your biggest takeaway from being incarcerated with the quote-unquote scum of society?
Well, the biggest thing I took away is they're not the scum of society. And the biggest thing is most of them are in there for injustices, victimless crimes, and just things like small-time drug use and driving under the influence on a bicycle, no headlight on a bicycle, open container. And they usually prey upon the poor, the indigent, because they can't make bail. They got to rot there for 2 months till they hear the case.
Yeah. Now, I remember you were saying that some of the people in there were in there for like robbery, actual crimes, theft of property or persons. And did you see a pattern that those ones who were in there for victimless crimes were doing more time than those who were that had a victim?
Well, the ones that were in there for victimless crimes, they were the indigent, and the people that were doing like hard crimes, they could get the wherewithal to bond out. But the ones that were the indigent, they couldn't get anybody even get $100 to bond them out, so they got to sit there and rot until the state attorney feels like hearing their case in a couple of months, and then he tries to talk them into pleading no contest so they can get a guilty verdict on them, and then they say you can walk tomorrow with time served, and they all take it, but now they got a guilty on them.
Yeah, they've actually tried that with me before on similar cases. But now, you did 104 days in total. Let me ask you this. On that fateful day that got you arrested and got you sentenced to 104 days, knowing that you were about to do, if you knew you were going to do 104 days, would you take it back?
Well, that's a tough one to answer. And my patriotic duty, and because of my age, and I'm not raising a family, and my property's paid off and everything else, I just might. I could do it. And actually, after I'll get away from it, I'll probably say, yeah, for sure I would do it. Because that's the only reason where you can put them on the spot is with civil disobedience. Otherwise, if everybody backs down, they'll put a free speech zone and qualify what you're allowed to hand out everywhere in the country.
Yeah, I agree with you there. If I've been arrested for civil disobedience before, and I wouldn't take a single one of them back because, in my opinion, it's helped spread awareness. Now, just so everybody knows, your main cause is the Fully Informed Jury Association because you think that it has a better quality of being able to strike down these federal laws than, trying to legislate backwards against these laws?
Yes, because jury nullification can go ahead and it can, you can nullify any law. I don't care if it's gun control, Obamacare, you name it. If you have a fully informed jury, you can stop it. And that's the reason that we give the power back to we got to give the power back to the people. So I think it's smarter to start at the bottom and work up than trying to change the legislation at the top. It's near impossible.
That makes perfect sense to me. I hope it makes sense to our listeners. So let me end it with this. What message would you like to give to the newly informed activists and these new activists that seem to be spreading like wildfire throughout America nowadays? Is there some sort of message you'd like to give them to help them keep hope?
Well, the message they are, the freedom fighters, is remember this. is for freedom of speech is the backbone of the Constitution. So you got to maintain that no matter what. And for freedom of speech, there's only three things you can't do. You can't have incitement, which is like saying shouting fire in a theater when there is none. The other one, you can't use fighting words. And the next one is you can't use obscenities. But I don't care if you're the village idiot. You can hand out any piece of paper you want. So if we want to change the country, I firmly believe this, you have to put yourself on the courthouse steps. Now, I believe you won't be traumatized like I was because Judge Belvin Perry is a tyrant. But this is the only place in the country that we know of where there's a free speech zone.
Thank you so much, Mark, and I really appreciate you for taking the time and interviewing me. We'll have this up for you soon, all right?
Yeah, anytime.
That was Mark Schmidter.
You know, I really, and I honestly agree. I mean, if you're going to still work within the system, because, you know, a lot of people still do, I really believe that jury nullification is if you can get that message out in mass, that is by far the best way to make some real change by using juries to nullify unconstitutional, victimless crime laws that shouldn't even be existing. I mean, I look at it like, didn't Mark Schmidter during, like, when he was up there talking, he said something about the Salem witch trials were kind of done the same way?
Yeah, 55 jury nullifications took place during the Salem witch trials, which effectively ended the Salem witch trials. The juries, these people who, you know, deemed if they were witches or not, decided, you know there's no witches. You know, they stopped, and they stopped convicting of it. That was really powerful. And for those of you listening and you don't know who Mark Schmidter is, you can check him out at We Are Mark Schmidter on the Facebook page. And there I'm sure you could find where his legal defense fund is. Mark is still fighting this. He served his time, but he's still fighting this. He's taking this as far as he can for you, me, and everyone listening. So I would really appreciate it if you took some time to go over to the We Are Mark Schmidter, promote what he has done, or you know, if you can give some bitcoins or if you can give some fiats, that would be wonderful for his defense fund all the way up to the Supreme Court if necessary. And also, Mark isn't. He's like a gentle. He's like your grandpa. I mean, I don't know how else to describe Mark. Like when you meet him, you immediately recognize him as someone that you respect.
He's not your typical what you would see as a political activist. He wears like these Hawaiian type button-down shirts with cargo shorts and like really comfortable shoes. You don't have to wear socks in.
And they put him in jail.
And he's just a sweet man. And he looks, you know, not to say that he couldn't handle his own, but he looks harmless. You know, he just you just don't picture him getting arrested for activism. You know what I mean?
And that's what makes it that much more inspiring. You know, it's kind of like watching Ron Paul, okay? Because it's this generation that we've written off. We've written them off as far as being helpful. We're all like, oh, it's that generation. They're the one who screwed us. They're the ones who's selling us to debt. And so when we see someone from that generation stepping up to the plate and showing us how we should be doing it, you know what I mean? It's awe-inspiring. You're all like, damn it, he's doing it better than me. You know, and that's what I love about the example of Mark Schmidter. Seeing Adam Kokesh getting arrested, it's all like, yeah, he's a young activist. He can take it. You know, if you've been in activism for any length of time, you've probably had to go to jail at some point. Okay, so but when it happens to people like Mark, for worse, for what they're doing, they're not pushing any freaking boundaries. They're not out there smoking weed in front of the White House or cop watching or throwing a camera in front of people's faces. They're not doing any of that. Mark's just handing out some paper down at the local courthouse to inform jurors of their already in place rights.
Yeah, I mean, these are not like we're not. Jury nullification isn't just something where you're like asking people to, break the law. These are rights that people have, fundamental rights given to them as a juror to nullify laws they disagree with. And that's kind of what takes, the whole scheme out of, it kind of is like our best defense against democracy.
Yeah, what is more power to the people, liberty and justice and freedom for all than that? Than saying, hey, you as an individual who you will be jury summoned at some point.
4 times.
Twice. Yeah, twice. And I'm talking about me. Like, why are you summoning me? But anyway, but you go there and you have a chance to do something beyond yourself that helps your fellow man and expands your individual freedom at the same time. I don't care if you're selfish or are altruistic, you benefit. So do it. You should do it. I get excited now when I get jury summons. I'm like, yes! I know I'm never going to get on one, but
I've always see. Here's what you got to do. You got to play completely stupid. I learned this, but I haven't been able to get back to jury duty since I learned this because I love going to jury duty. I don't know why. It's probably for the same weird reason that I like standing in long lines. I like connecting with strangers. And when you get called for jury duty, you sit in a room with 600 strangers. I've been there 2 out of the 4 times I've been summoned, and I've never met one person I know. Never ran into
you
Robert.
You have a weird fetish about lines and strangers, though, Matthew. Okay, you desire to be in a line with a bunch of people you've never known, and I do this with you too. I'm not gonna lie. I love doing the line troll, as I've come to call it, right? And we're standing in line in a bunch of group of people. They look like a bunch of squares, and we start talking about Ron Paul and conspiracies, and we'll talk about it like it's so matter of fact. Like when people look at us, like, "What are you talking about?" We look at them like, "You don't know?"
Yeah, exactly. And I love it, and I love the looks. But see, I take it one step further when I'm by myself. I will engage those strangers, and I will talk to them, and I will say, hey, so, I'll start off with something very nonchalant, absolutely non-political, gain their trust a little, and then, bam, I'm in. And all of a sudden you've made a new friend, and you're going to talk some politics and some philosophical differences, and who knows? You might bring another person to Liberty Republican or Blue Democrat, or was it Blue Republican?
Any step towards any, you know what I mean? That's that. Which I loved Cantwell's take on when I asked him about that philosophically. It's a yes and no. It's an individual thing, which is funny because that kind of adheres to the whole damn philosophy of individualism, that you have to make the judgment on your own from where you are, what you're based with the information that you have in front of you. Like he said, if you have a community that's making a damn difference and you're able to pass a law that, restricts the government and not the people, then do it. And jury nullification, FIJA, Mark's cause, right? The one that he's all about. I mean, he's for freedom across the board. I'm sure of it. But his cause, I think, is the most effective form of activism that we can do as individuals who aren't out on the streets like Cantwell or myself and you, or Trip Pugh or Caleb Everett or Adam Kokat, anybody. You know what I mean? You're just a person who listens to these radio shows and, does, Facebook posts and, and goes to the meetings when they're around or such like that. But you're not really boots on the ground kind of people. This is your moment when you're summoned. Mm-hmm. This is your moment to go, same shit happened to me, not guilty, next question.
Yeah. And this is the safest act of activism anyone can do.
Yeah, they can't arrest you for it. You made a decree that we told you to make, and you didn't do the one that we wanted you to do, so you're under arrest. I mean, if we don't do jury nullification, I'm sure it can come to that one day. But they can't do it. This is the safest form of activism you can do. I mean, anybody can do it, and you're going to be called one day. Don't get out of it. But okay, now to move this on a little further along, Mark told some stories, and there was some. I'm going to be posting Mark's speech on YouTube so everybody can see it. The man is amazing, but there was some stories that I really thought that were learned. They were unintentional lessons of activism and the dirty underbelly of activism.
The best part of the night, and I know your best part was when I tripped and fell. But my favorite part of the night was watching you nod your head in agreement as Mark was describing his time in jail, in prison.
Hey, man, it's good. It's nice to know that other people know. You know, you're just like, you're all like, yeah, I know those mattresses suck, right? You know.
Well, because I once visited you in the Phoenix house.
Yes, and he did some time in the Phoenix house. Well, anyway, let him tell his story. It's a little edited for time, and I took out anybody's names that he was speaking about because I don't know if those people want their information out there. But here is Mark's story of his jail time.
Now, once you get in jail, you're in the general population for about a day or two until they figure out where they're going to put you. Since I'm about the lowest security there is, they put me in what they call the Genesis dorm, and all those people in there are nonviolent, victimless crime people, just about. And the reasons they're in there is ridiculous. So I was in there for about a week, and then I got a disciplinary report. I couldn't hear her when she told me to go do something like a fire drill, and that correction officer got mad and gave me a disciplinary report. And they take you out of that dorm you're in right away. They put me in the main, which is where all the nasty boys are. So they put me in the main, and it was just like in the beginning of April. It was just unbelievably cold, and there was no heat in the place. I mean, there was no heat. You couldn't sleep at night. And you don't ask them for an extra blanket. They just laugh at you. And then we tried to put towels underneath the doors so the cold air wouldn't come in. They won't let you do that. And then they had the blowers working up there, the air coming in. There's no heat, so we tried to put cardboard over them and stuff so the air wouldn't come in and freezes. And then they made us take that down. You know, they got a set of rules, and then you're freezing or not. It's really inhumane what they did there. So they did put me in a cell with, and he was a 26-year-old, and he was in there for attempted murder. Now, they shouldn't be putting me in with somebody there for attempted murder.
Hold on 1 second. You hear that? They put this man who was arrested for handing out paper in with an attempted murderer. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I had to reiterate that for a minute. This is your America right now, guys. This is what we're living in this. This happened. Okay, this ain't no damn conspiracy theory. They threw a man in jail for handing out paper, and they put him in with a cell with an attempted murderer. I'm sorry. We'll continue.
But anyhow, I was there one night with him freezing, and he's been arrested 17 times. So anyhow, and one thing he did is he murdered when he was 13 years old, he murdered his mother's boyfriend because he was molesting his little sister. So anyhow, after spending a week there, then they hear about my disciplinary report, and they kind of blew most of it off, and then they put me in another cell, another dormitory. So with those type of people, because they were nonviolent and they were victimless crimes, most of them in there for like drug use and things. Or one guy was in for, he was riding a black guy, indigent, and he's riding his bicycle at night with no headlight or tail light. So they busted him and put him in jail. And then he doesn't have any money to bond out. So he just stays in there for 2 weeks or 2 months. And then the prosecution says, okay, now it's time to hear your case, but we're going to do you a favor, guy. You just plead no contest, which is a guilty, and then you can go tomorrow. You know, you can walk tomorrow. And they already been there 2 months. They go, yeah, okay, fine. So they're gone, but they got a guilty on them, and then the prosecuting attorney, the state, now they got another guilty, and they're elevated by their conviction rate. So
What? Wait, what? Is the system stacked against you? No way. You know, and this is a stand-up guy's experience in jail. All right, there's still some more, but I mean, he's experiencing this. He's seeing these stories happen in front of him. They're just not some random sob story. I know. I've been to the same facilities he's been to, as a matter of fact, and I see these stories. I know these stories about these people who have the world stacked against them, and it's all because of something dumb, and they end up having to plead guilty just so they can get out of jail. Anyway, I'm sorry. We'll continue.
And see, for them to go after the people they know can't defend and incarcerate them, so therefore 2 months later, they can just do a plea bargain, a guilty, and then they go free. But the next time they arrest them, now they got a guilty hanging on them. Another example of the R2 board game is Gerald. Gerald is about my age, and he's never been in jail, he told me, any time before in his life. And he was a maintenance man down at the Orange County Convention Center. He's had the same job for 5 years. So one day, just 2 months ago, 2 cops knocked on his door and they said, well, we got a warrant for your arrest for, it was unemployment fraud. Now, he knows nothing about this. So they pick him up, put him in jail, he can't bond out. The guy doesn't have a car, but he does have an apartment, he does have some earthly possessions. So he's in there for 2 months waiting to hear, loses his apartment, loses everything he has, and loses his job. Boom, just like that. Over $100 bail. So, you know, there just really isn't. At least the food was somewhat warm in our dormitory. And you get like maybe some green beans and baked beans and a couple hot dogs and some white bread and things. But they took all the seasoning out of everything there is. So if you want to put any seasoning in it, you have to buy stuff from the commissary.
Now, here comes the real reasons for our prison industrial complex. Okay, this is the worst thing about our system. It has become a money-generating machine, our justice system. So when something becomes a money-generating machine, it no longer becomes whatever it was before. It becomes a money-generating machine. So if this system was justice, it's now about profit. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting, but I mean, these are the unintended lessons from simple jury nullification.
I think it's okay cutting in when you want to make that point, you know, so keep at it. It's good information people need to be aware of as they're hearing this.
Absolutely. So, all right, we're going to continue.
Here's a real racket. So you get your loved ones, and thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for dumping in the money in my commissary. And I also had $60 on me when I went to jail. I should have brought in a couple hundred, you know, I'm a little smarter now. And they take that and they immediately put it in there, and then they charge you like $15 to become a prisoner. They charge you. Then they charge you $1.50 a day for being there. And then, so there's all these little charges coming in all the time, so your money keeps getting whittled away. And then you always have court costs or something. That was $35 or $40 every 2 weeks. So I go, wow, I got $100 in my commissary. And then, you know, a week later, I'm going, oh, I'm down to 75. What happened to this money? You know, it's all this little money they're taking here and there.
Do you?
And that, I mean, and there was a whole lot more. And I recommend that once I have it up, you guys, you know, you go and watch it. His story is incredible. And you really do need to listen to the whole thing, because this is happening all over America. The fact that you even have to get a permit to protest is free speech zoning the United States. And this man stood up against it and did 104 days for you.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, Robert, here, real quick. What about the argument somebody would make that, well, they're in prison, they broke the law, they should pay their own money, they should fund those private prisons, they should take care of themselves.
Yeah, but then you're justifying for this kind of system, money-generating system, on a whole bunch of people who shouldn't be in there in the first place.
I agree.
I have. Well, here's the thing: you're in jail. That is punishment enough. And if you're going to be the one who's going to be initiating the damn force against the person to stick them in a cell, then you got to pay for it, man. You're the one who wants to do it. Not that I agree with it, but you know what I'm saying? But if you're going to do it, then that's ridiculous. It's like, hey, I'm going to take away your freedom, and then any time somebody tries to make your stay any easier, I'm going to charge you for it. What happens if you don't have money in your commissary for a year? And then someone puts in $20. Do they take it immediately because you accrued a debt?
I would say most likely.
I mean, seriously. You know what I mean? Now, but then what did he say? Who did he see in these low-level dorms? Victimless crimes. People in there for DWI on bicycle. People for drug consumption. You know what I mean? Victimless, dumb stuff. I'm sure there was some people in there that, committed some sort of violation against another man's rights and deserved to have theirs stripped from them for a while till we figured out what the hell happened. I'm sure that happens. I'm just saying it's not normal.
Yeah.
And that's another takeaway from this. Not only, that's why jury nullification, let me rephrase, that right there is why jury nullification is so damn important. Because if you were there, if you were on that jury and you were all like, hell no, I'm not pleading freaking guilty on this pothead or on this guy who is drunk on his bicycle, if you were just like, you know what, no, I'm not doing it, not guilty, they wouldn't be in there. Now, Mark isn't necessarily that case because the judge did not give him a trial by jury.
Nope.
The judge oversaw the damn appeal.
Yep.
and even after it was deemed unconstitutional, he still sentenced him. That happened here in the United States, in Florida, in Orlando, down the road from my house. America. But I mean that happened, and I'm grateful for Mark. So I'm going to ask one more time that you please check out his Facebook page. We are Mark Schmidter, or the Mark Schmidter Legal Defense Fund, and in some way give him your time, your effort, a Facebook post, something. Give him something. Not because he needs it, but because you do. Because you need more people like him.
Mm-hmm. I've often said that this movement, whatever you want to call it, cannot survive under its own weight. It needs people like Mark Schmidter, but it also needs people that are willing to donate $1, $2, $3, $5, whatever, to help people like Mark so they can keep doing things like this, to help people like Liberty Movement Radio or Chris Cantwell so they can continue to do activism and they can continue to fight for your freedoms. If you're not capable, me and Robert, we do what we do. We do a very comfortable production level, but we can't go out and just willy-nilly get arrested. But there's people like Chris Cantwell and Adam Kokesh and Mark Schmidter that are willing to put their neck on the line.
No, I'm willing. It's just the opportunity hasn't presented itself.
I unfortunately, I'm okay with it if it happens, but I'm going to try and avoid it for the sake of,
Oh, you should always try to avoid it, though.
But I'm saying for my own reasons being Max. I'm the only one. I'm the only parent in his life.
I get it. You don't need to justify yourself, sir. I understand. I'm just saying I am willing. That's all.
Yeah. But I'm saying but these guys are there. They're already there. They're more than, they're on the front lines. These are the people you need to support. We try to spend, I said we sent out $20 to Cantwell. We do what we can when we can, as much as we can. And it's not always a lot, but it doesn't have to be a lot. As long as it's, a bunch of people giving a little bits, it adds up.
Absolutely. Well, all right. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and end this part, and then we're going to take a short break. And then we are going to come back with banthecams.org and what those people are doing and how you can get involved in helping ban the cams in your area. They're really cool people. I really like them. I got to interview Henry. We'll play his interview, let you guys listen to it. But for now, here is Jordan Page with Listen.
Listen to the sound that you hear like it echo in your head. There's a strange vibration rising now from the heart of America, America. Listen to the sound of a drum calling players to the game of the new world order. Don't be caught unaware when the heads start rolling. Happen here, I know it wouldn't happen here. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm alive, I'm awake. This is more than I can take. If you had an open door, would you kill a little more? Listen to the cries of the dead in the wake of the Sudan. Is there no one out there? I see blood in the sands of despair in Africa. Listen to the sound of applause in a chamber full of men selling out their people as they plan their assault on the heart of America. No, it couldn't happen here. I know it wouldn't happen here. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm alive, I'm awake. This is more than I can take. If you had an open door, would you kill a little more?
In the councils of government, we must guard against acquisition of unwarranted influence by the military-industrial complex.
Machine in motion and the bullets fall as rain, and the light in the eyes of the innocent has faded into pain. Yesterday I knew the world was spinning toward the end, but today I see the wasteland, and it's too late to pretend. Listen to the words that you hear, said the ghost of Vietnam through a veil of napalm. Don't forget your mistakes and where you came from. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs up here, you know it's gonna happen
All right. I figured that was appropriate for where we were ending on the conversation.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Now, this next interview coming up is Henry from banthecams.org. I believe he is a co-founder. It's just a short interview because I didn't expect them to be there, and when I saw them, I mean, this is a cause I can get behind, banning the cams. I'm all about that because, there's lots of issues constitutionally I think we have with red light cameras. not being able to face your accusers, not even really knowing who the suspect is, only the offending vehicle. So here's that interview real quick with Henry from banthecams.org.
Let me go ahead and get your name and what you are doing.
Henry Bentley. I am co-founder of bandthecams.org.
All right. And your main thing with the Ban the Cams is to get rid of red light cameras altogether. Why is it seemingly unconstitutional for red light cameras to be up?
You don't have due process. You're guilty until proven innocent. When you get your first ticket, number one, it's not a real ticket. Then you get the second ticket, and if you own the car, you're the one who is liable for the ticket. It's not the driver.
Yeah, which means that not only are you not facing your accuser, but they don't even know who the suspect is. Now, do you think that it's going to be possible for us to push this out because of the revenue that these counties and cities are going to be bringing in from these kind of infractions against our Constitution?
I think we can. It's going to be hard because the camera companies have a lot of money. We don't, but we have activism.
Yeah, and that's very true. There's been I've seen this ban the cam type stuff all over the nation, everywhere from California to down in Tampa. Where are you going to be focusing your efforts in throughout the nation? Here in Orange County?
Well, we're based in Orange County, but the website is actually global. So, but my personal efforts are within Central Florida.
Okay. Now, will other people around the nation who go to your website, would they be able to get in contact with you and your organization to start ban the cam type things in their own cities, in their own counties?
Absolutely.
All right. And so all that information's on the website. What was the website again?
bandthecams.org.
bandthecams.org. And is there anything that's going to be happening here recently or coming up soon that you're looking to garner support for?
Every second Saturday of the month, we meet up in a Popper at 10 o'clock in the morning till 12, and we run a protest up there.
And is that near the cameras or near the organizations who run the cameras?
It's actually right in the center of town. At that one intersection, there are 3 cameras, and we're right across the street from the government buildings, the police offices and the county.
So it's a perfect location. You got both. You got the organizations running the cameras and the camera themselves.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome.
There you go. Now, I've been doing a little research into these banthecams.org, and I am liking what I see so far. Okay. I haven't really seen anything too much that I've disagreed with. And what I like about it is that they have a way to start your own groups, and they will help you in your support of starting your own groups. If you go to banthecams.org and then click on groups, join the fight. And boom, there you go. There's a list of communities and groups. You sign up there, and you can even visit groups as a non-member. But becoming a member, of course, is free. So I really suggest you guys going to banthecams.org. If you don't know why cameras are bad, there's lots of reasons for it. I mean, we went over a couple of them. You can't face your accuser because your accuser is a camera. There's no way to determine if you were in the vehicle. Are you trying to say something there, Matt?
I forgot to unmute my mic.
Oh.
I was just letting you go, and the victim is the state. I'm sorry. There's no victim, no crime.
Yeah, well, not only is there no victim, no crime, it's a violation of your constitutional rights. You don't have the right to face your accuser. What's the other one? There's another amendment in which it is in violation of that I forget. I don't remember at this moment. But that one alone is enough. You only need to be violated once for it to not be cool. You know, you're not.
Yeah.
You don't get violated and think, well, let me do that 1 or 2 more times and see if it felt good. Like you don't do that. You get violated once, you retaliate. So, what about you, man? What do you think about these cameras? What's your opinion on them? Do you think they have a place in society?
I think they're totally necessary. Stop people. No, I'm just kidding. I can't back that up. I got Robert laughing though. No, man. For one.
Well, like, okay, not too long ago, Adam Kokesh made the argument that drones have a place in society. Is there a place for these cameras?
No, because when he said that there's a place for drones in society, he said they're for, like, delivering beer at concerts or hot dogs at sporting events or something like to that effect. He wasn't. What is the camera gonna do? Send you a picture and say, "Hey, how would you like a portrait of yourself?" You know, I mean, there's no use for them other than, like, if you go to, like, a theme park and they have people walking around with cameras, they take your picture and they give you your card. Yeah, those kind of cameras in society have a use. Red light cameras. I guess the only way would be to gather statistics. Would be the only place, because it's not violating your rights. It's just trying to see, like, get the statistics.
How many red cars are in Chicago, type of thing? Is that what you?
No. I'm saying is if you want to gather statistics on how, if it was a completely free society and they wanted to get people to stop running red lights, and so it was self-funded. People said, we're going to put cameras up, we're going to do a study, and then maybe we can put an ad campaign through voluntary dollars to try and get people to stop running red lights, to see, what percentage, how many of these, when they happen, cause accidents, et cetera, et cetera. I can honestly say that would be the only way, as long as people's information is protected, their property rights are protected, nobody's, if you're not taking pictures of their drivers, I mean, they're not the driver's license, like you're holding it up or something. No, of the license plate, none of that information. Your face isn't out there. It's just taking pictures of cars running red lights because they want to run statistics to maybe, and this would be all done through the free market, voluntary dollars. Then yeah, I could get behind it. Other than that, it's just stupid.
Yeah, I think I agree with you to a point. I think that it's indicative of our entire society, and goes back to and goes back to how Mark Schmidter had to pay to be in jail. It goes back. It goes back to that. Now, not only are we being taxed for the roads, but we have toll roads on top of it, which they say, oh, we're just going to toll until we pay for the road, and then they go, oh, there's all these maintenance costs, and they just toll you for the rest of eternity. And on top of that, we get ticketed if we ever screw up riding on the road. You know what I mean? It's like cops never run red lights.
Granted, you could, and a lot of people would make the argument now, and I'll always beat it down with words, but everybody's going to make, well, it's dangerous, and, that somebody could cause an accident. Well, laws don't prevent crimes. I think that's pretty apparent. Now.
And tickets have never been a deterrent for running red lights. If that was the case, it would have stopped already, because, tickets have been around for quite a while.
No, but see, I was going to make the argument, how it's extortion. That's all it is. It's extortion. Look, if you're not wearing your seatbelt in your effing car, in your car, your own personal property, you made the conscious, personal decision, and as a person who believes in natural selection, you make that choice, you run that risk in not wearing your seatbelt.
Oh, you're doing the seatbelt argument. I agree with you on the seatbelt argument, 100%.
Yeah. But it's all it is extortion. Oh, officer, you pulled me over, I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, now I owe you money? It's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, and you know what? And they have requested that people be there. So if you are in the Central Florida area, and you know where Apopka is, go to their website. And if you live near Apopka, go there. We actually might be having a presence there from time to time, because I want to make sure that they're safe and what they're doing, because as we've seen with Mark Schmidter and Adam Kokesh and Rich Paul, they have no problem throwing us in jail. So and so if you have a chance, start your own. Go to the page. It's banthecams.org. Join the community and start your own in your own neighborhood, in your own county, in your own city, wherever it may be.
Or Google search, because there might be one that exists in your community.
Well, I'm sure if you go to the page and you join a group, if it's already there, to list it for you.
Oh, my mistake.
No problem. So, and these are good things. And I want to take a moment to take stock about where we are philosophically in the United States. I'm not going to include the rest of the world right now because, it severely lowers the standard.
Well,
freedom.
if you have a problem in your family, a real issue within your family, do you go out and knock on your neighbor's doors and ask them to help you fix it?
Well, no. Well, I'm just saying.
I don't care about the other countries. Let's talk about America.
Well, no, I'm just talking about the movement that we're involved in this locale, right? Philosophically, let's take stock. You guys need to remember we are making progress. What's the Gandhi thing? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. They're fighting us now. They're arresting us. They're trying to just make up crap on the fly, and we're winning. With great sacrifice, because people have to lose their freedoms. There are, activists getting in trouble, being arrested. And then there's just the sideline victims of drug users, pot smokers, bicyclists, and everything in between. It's just they're victims, nothing more. They're not criminals, and we are reaching a point where freedom is growing. It might seem slow to you. And I'm not going to lie, it died off after the elections. Got divided. We all kind of went off and did our own thing. But I make the argument that's exactly what needed to happen. We needed to go out and do our own things. We no more had a man to rally behind. So we had to become alphas in our own communities. Did it cause some division? Did some people argue? Was there Facebook drama? Yeah. But look at what we're doing. You have groups like Ban the Camps. You have people like Mark Schmidter and Adam Kokesh. You have people like Christopher Cantwell. You even have people like Justin Amash trying his damnedest to hold on to his integrity while being in a corrupt system. The NSA is now confirmed spying on us, and we have freaking the Tea Party mad as hell. So we need to capitalize on that. Find those low-hanging fruits from the Tea Party. Hey, you know why this happened? Because you're a hateful son of a bitch, man. Come over here, stop hating everybody, and let's all be free.
They're not the only ones that are angry.
The Democrats as well.
Yeah, there's liberals out there that are pissed as hell because they're the biggest proponents of civil liberties and freedom out of all of them. I mean, as long as it's something they agree with, but but no, I mean, there are people everywhere just fed up, sick and tired, and they're ready to. I think they're finally ready to listen.
Well, and not only that, look at us. Our division, or our distortion, if you will, that's what I'll call it. When the history books write it, it'll be called the Great Liberty Distortion. Our distortion that happened was necessary. People like Cantwell, who ran for Congress, had to become an anarchist and then had to organize behind it and find causes he can get behind and do it. People like me and Matthew had to see the corruption that happened in Tampa firsthand and come back and go, we got to tell people. And we lost a lot of our heroes. We had to stop depending on other people's opinions on what liberty is, what freedom is, what's a fact. We had to stop it. And
that was one thing we did learn quickly, was how many people started disappointing us soon after, philosophically. So where we just got to the point where we're going to stop supporting people altogether. We're going to support action.
Yes, that was the key moment for me, and I think it's those who have been in the liberty movement since the 2011 cycle and before, right? People like myself who have been involved in some degree or another since the 90s. And others who started in 2006 to 2008, and those who didn't learn about it until this last election. But we've all been involved for a while, long enough to where I think what we've seen happen, we're going, hey, I can do my thing. And if people want to do my thing with me, it'll move. And then you support those people doing their thing, and they're going to get their thing done. And all of a sudden, this multifaceted plethora of fronts of this ideological war are being kept. You have the extreme holding back the extreme. You have the moderate holding back the moderate, and you have the centers holding back the centers. And we're moving forward.
They call it, they don't call it an ideological warfare for a reason, for no reason.
And you're kidding yourself if you don't think we're in an ideological war.
Yeah.
And then I would say you would be remiss if you didn't contemplate the fact that the revolution hasn't already started. If you don't contemplate that, like once a week, like holy crap, in history, years from now, generations from now, will they say this was it? You should think about that at least once a week. And people like Mark Schmidter, people like Adam Kokesh, people like Christopher Cantwell, people who organize groups like Scott Oliver, all these people are helping, and we should support them. And I guarantee they'll help support you, because that's what voluntary interaction is all about. Beneficial interaction and trade. And we're winning. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it.
I think it's hilarious because it almost sounds like you don't believe it when you say that. But you're right. We are winning.
But it doesn't feel like it. I mean,
No.
we see Monsanto getting larger. We see corporate capitalism taking over Wall Street, and we see all these desperate acts of a dying state.
But look beyond that. Look to what people like Ron Paul retired. I don't care what your feelings are about Ron Paul on the website, blah, 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 blah. We support actions, not people. And the actions that he's continuing to do, this is a youth movement. This is going to be a philosophical change. It's not a race, it's a marathon. And it's going to take a couple decades to completely turn it around, or longer. And it's going to be based around the youth of this nation. And Ron Paul right now, to this day, is traveling from school to school, talking to thousands of kids that are coming out to see him, and they're learning this. It's a philosophical revolution.
I agree with you 99%. I am the 99%. But 1% of me disagrees. I think we'll see it sooner than that.
Oh, you think you'll see it sooner than decades?
Yes. 1 decade, maybe. 10 years. 15, decade and a half. Tops. We're going to see it. We may not see the end goal, but we'll be able to lie on our deathbeds years from then saying we did it. My children live in a freer world than I did.
I hope you're right. I really do.
And on that wonderful note, we are
positivity, folks. Positivity.
We are going to wrap this up. Now, just to wrap it up, Peace News Now talked about getting your FBI file. I recommend that you do that, because even if you get a bunch of blanked out paper, that's knowledge they have on you, and you should know as well. Peace News Now also covered Bitcoin and things that are going on at PorkFest, which our very own Matthew Dalton will have our presence there at PorkFest. We will be doing live broadcasts and recording Skype conversations with whomever and however we can. And then we discussed with Christopher Cantwell apps that are necessary, that we think are must-haves for being an activist. You have ones that help you find cop blocks and cop stops, and then you have a scanner one. Then you also have the I'm Getting Detained app, and then the one that Christopher Cantwell says is the most important is the Cerberus anti-theft app. Make sure you get that so you can wipe your phone if you are ever detained. Then we talked about Mark Schmidter and his release, which is great, but his fight continues. He still needs your support. He still needs your help, not only in his own personal fight against the state, but with FIJA. Look it up. Fully Informed Jury Association, FIJA.org. We also discussed the interview with Henry with banthecams.org. I recommend that you go there, you start your own group, you start your own protests, you start rallying, and you make sure that we can always face our accusers. And then finally, we talked about positivity. Keep it. I don't know. Matthew's trying to speak sign language to me, which doesn't work on radio, so go ahead.
You forgot Status Anonymous.
And Status Anonymous. How could I? I try to forget painful memories. No, and Status Anonymous, we will be figuring out 5 and 6 here shortly because Matthew is going to Porkfest, and we ran into some technical difficulties, which is mainly that I'm poor. And so we'll be getting 5 and 6 out ASAP, I promise. So, Matthew,
if not this week, it'll be next week.
Yeah, do your quick talking plug-in crazy thing.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Journalistic Revolution. You can find us at www.journalisticrevolution.com. You can also find our app in the Google Play Store just by searching the Journalistic Revolution. Also soon to come, based on a straw poll that I will take at Porkfest, possibly an Apple app as well. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter. You can find us on Facebook under Status Anonymous, and you can also find us on YouTube as Journalistic Revolution, and you can find our archive radio shows at JRev Radio Archives. Dagburn, I messed that up.
Riveting Radio.
You can also listen to us every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday from 11 to 1 at Liberty Movement Radio. Now, Robert's going to take over for me on Sundays, the next 2 Sundays while I'm out, and he's going to still continue to do the show on Wednesday and Friday as well next week. Boo! I'm trying to give out some extra information here, pal.
I don't want to do it.
Listen to Robert. Support Robert while he's by himself 4 shows in a row. Boo me. I'm trying to help you. Listen to LibertyMovementRadio.com and help support some other people like Adam vs. the Man, Adam Kokesh, Trip NWO Fighter Show with Trip Pugh, We Are Not Cattle with Jake Counts, and Caleb Leverett and Ben Farmer. And please also support the Houston Freethinkers with Derek Bros, Peace News Now with Derek J. Freeman, Cerebral Industrial Complex with Josh Wiley, We Are Change with Luke Rudowski, Panda, the People Against the National Defense Authorization Act with Dan Johnson, the 1787 Network with Alex Schmidter, Revolution on Recliner with John Conrad, ShinyBadges.com with Davi Barker. If you have an organization and you want to create something that you can sell to the public, contact Davi Barker at ShinyBadges.com. He will help you create a shiny badge that you can sell to your fans. Also, check out Suspicious Observer. He is the weatherman at journalisticrevolution.com. Please check us out. We'd also like to thank Liberty Calling with Judy Morris. Do you want to talk about them, Robert?
I don't have it in front of me. Go right ahead.
Here's something new from our Liberty friends, Liberty Calling with Judy Morris, who has teamed up with the Liberty activists from all over the country to take Liberty Media to the next level. Nonpartisan advocates for liberty, peace, and prosperity. They report on a ton of issues, including foreign policy, monetary policy, fiscal policy, civil liberties, economics, politics, and much, much more. All the Liberty news you can use. You can find them at libertycalling.net or find them on Facebook. Look for Liberty Calling.
All right.
Boo me. Boo you.
No, sir. But anyway, so that was Journalistic Revolution. Thank you guys for listening in.
Check out the app.
Yeah, Matthew's very proud of his app. Check out the app. And Journalistic Revolution. News you need to be involved in. All right, guys.
Great.